Good morning and welcome to this exciting morning to talk business. My name is Blyden Kim and it's Business 360. In today's edition of Business 360, we'll look at the key features, beginning with the oil market and why prices are high. We'll also get to talk about the forex market and the very fine details within fuel crisis in Nigeria. We begin with oil. Oil has continually found itself being bought on dips over the last few months, and that is due to the following reasons. Chinese demand return. The most often cited reason is that Chinese demand for oil is set to gain rapidly this year as it shakes off its strict COVID-0 restriction. According to the Energy Information Administration, China's daily demand for oil will reach 15 million barrels per day. This will see a return to China's expanding need for oil after its fall in 2022. The return to air travel for China is expected to be one of the major drivers of demand over the coming weeks. And that is a picture of the oil market and the opportunities within it. Let's still stick with China. China is strongly dissatisfied with Germany's reported plans to ban Huawei and ZTE from the country's 5G network. The Chinese embassy in Berlin said, Germany's generalization of the concept of national security and abuse of state power to intervene in the market violates economic laws and the principle of fair competition. The embassy's remark came after a German newspaper reported that Berlin is preparing to prohibit telecoms companies from using certain components from Chinese tech giant Huawei and ZTE, following similar bans for or by Argentina, Australia, Japan, and the United Kingdom and the United States. Western securities officials have claimed that Huawei and ZTE pose threats to national security and privacy due to their close ties to Beijing, making them unsuitable for involvement in next-generation communication networks. Quite concerning from a Chinese point of view, but the Western countries have stood their mark. In Russia, Russia is consulting with its allies about challenging the United States nominee to head of the bank, the World Bank, a move that could complicate what was expected to be a smooth succession process. Russia remains a voting member of the World Bank, although the bank halted all programs in Russia and Belarus last month and last March, citing what is called hostilities against the people of Ukraine following Russia's invasion. US President Joe Biden last month nominated ex-MasterCard Chief Executive Officer Ajay Banga, who is 63 years of age, to replace David Malpass at the helm of the World Bank, which oversees billions of dollars in funding for developing countries. Banga, who is currently traveling in Africa, last week said he had already won support from India, Ghana, and Kenya. He also had positive reviews from France and Germany at last month's meeting of G20 finance officials and has won the endorsement of Bangladesh. That's the outlook regarding listing and potential candidates for World Bank. Let's come to Africa. Home-based Tanzanian boat manufacturers Songoro Marine Transport Limited Corporation have built what is being described as one of the most technological advanced locally made boats in East Africa. The Tower Sea Cruiser, as it is called, can accommodate up to 50 visitors at once. This is coming a few weeks after Tanzania commissioned the MV Mwanza Hapakazi 2, another locally made cruise ship with a 1,200 person capacity. On March 14th, Mohamed Mchengawa, Tanzania's Minister of Natural Resources and Tourism, will debut a contemporary boat that will be utilized for marine tourism in the Indian Ocean. Looking at the state of things in Nigeria amid scarcity of petrol. The scarcity of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, in Abuja and other northern states could persist till after Saturday's gubernatorial elections in various states, according to oil marketers. Petrol scarcity became severe on Monday as thousands of motorists clustered at the few filling stations that dispense the commodity. The cost of petrol rose to 400 naira per litre at filling stations operated by independent marketers, while black marketers sold the product for between 450 naira per litre to 500 naira per litre. Many motorists resorted to accessing the product from black marketers, but most of these dealers lacked the ability to carry out mobile transfers and transactions, a development that worsened the sorry state of frustrated fuel seekers. Members of the Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria confirmed that about 90% of their filling stations were shut due to lack of products. And it's quite concerning from a Nigerian point of view. Nigeria's quest to transit from fossil fuel-powered vehicles to electric ones receive a boost with the naming of Jet System Automobile Industries Limited as the Nigerian Auto Journalists Association Electric Vehicle Company of the Year award winner. Responding to his company's emergence as the Electric Vehicle Company of the Year, the firm's Director of Sales and Marketing, Sanjay Rupani, said they were delighted to receive the award as a challenge to accomplish more in development and innovation. And that's the outlook of a positivity regarding electric vehicle in the country. Looking at budgets. Local government areas in Nigeria received 2.02 trillion naira from disbursed federal allocation in 2022. This came as local government areas in Lagos, Kano, Oyo, Katsina, and Rivers State raked in the highest allocation for the year. Local government areas in the 5 states received 24.83%, an equivalent of 500.38 billion naira of the total allocation, while local government areas in Bayelsa, Gombe, Ebonyi, Nasarawa, and Ekiti raked in the lowest allocation for the year 2022. It would be a good time to move to the global economy to see what's happening regarding economics in other climes, beginning with the US. The Fed Chair Powell semi-annual monetary policy report in Congress would be what we're looking at now. The Fed is prepared to speed up rates and its rises if warranted by data. Economy strength suggests peak rate will be higher than previously anticipated. Inflation has moderated, but progress is likely to be bumpy. These are the words of the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell as he speaks to lawmakers regarding his semi-annual monetary policy report. Let's hear from Jerome Powell, the Fed Chair.
We will not achieve. Acutely aware that high inflation is causing significant hardship, and we're strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% goal. Over the past year, we've taken forceful actions to tighten the stance of monetary policy. We have covered a lot of ground, and the full effects of our tightening so far are yet to be felt. Even so, we have more work to do. Our policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices. Without price stability, the economy does not work for anyone. In particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of labor market conditions that benefit all. I'll review the current economic situation before turning to monetary policy. The data from January on employment, consumer spending, manufacturing production, and inflation have partly reversed the softening trends that we'd seen in the data just a month ago. Some of this reversal likely reflects the unseasonably warm weather in January in much of the country. Still, the breadth of the reversal, along with revisions to the previous quarter, suggests that inflationary pressures are running higher than expected at the time of our previous FOMC meeting. From a broader perspective, inflation has moderated somewhat since the middle of last year, but remains well above the FOMC's longer-run objective of 2%. The 12-month change in total PCE inflation has slowed from its peak.
That was the U.S. Fed Chair, Jerome Powell, speaking regarding the economy and how to get inflation to target. Talking about inflation, let's move to Africa to see the inflation rate in Seychelles. The annual inflation rate in Seychelles eased for the fifth straight month to 1.13% in February 2023, down from 2.39% in the prior month. This was the lowest reading since August 2020, amid softer rises in prices of fresh fish, 10.95% against 19.92%. Other food, excluding fresh fish, 1.33% against 2.02%, and non-food products, 0.97% against 2.22%. On a monthly basis, consumer prices fell by 1.01% in February, the most since April 2015, after decreasing by 0.12% in the prior month. It would be a good time to look at the charts indicating Seychelles' inflation rate. Let's move straight to the charts to see what the outlook is regarding inflation in the country. Inflation in Seychelles has shown some upward movement but peaking by July. It began in April 2022 at 2.2% and went further upward to 3.53%. Inflation began to slow down in the country as at October 2022 it slowed to 2.92%, but it has been on consistent downward turn, indicating positivity in the country, as inflation is all about higher costs of living as well as weakness in the currency of the country. Currently, inflation in Seychelles is 1.13%. It would be a good time to look at the commodity markets, beginning with metal market commentary. Bob Icino will explain what's happening in the market. But silver futures prints the steepest decline since February 3rd, as Fed Chair Powell indicates the need for higher interest rates in testimony. Let's hear from Bob. Bob's outlook.
In the metals quadrant today, taking a look at the May silver futures contract, a deep drop. Silver falls almost 5% on the worst day on a percentage basis since February 3rd for the precious and industrial metals. Silver is obviously a combination of those two things. On the downside, 2010.5 was the low for the May contract, down 4.87%. We ended up settling down about 4.75%. So we settled over 4% lower than yesterday's settlement of 2113.5. And on the high side, we were up just short of 0.4% at 2121.5. Silver's working on its 7th down week in the last 8. And even though we're only 2 days in, at down over 5.2% so far this week, this would be the worst week for silver in the years, in the entirety of 2023. Now, Jerome Powell's testimony put a lot of pressure on asset classes in general, but it's especially hit precious metals, gold and...
Thank you, Bob Icino. The outlook of the metal market regarding the impression in silver. Let's move straight to the metal market to see what other commodities in that collection seem to be doing this morning. Talking about gold price, which is upward this morning slightly, and others, the metal market. The metal market this morning has shown gold price at $1,814 per ounce, upward slightly by 0.48 points, a 0.03% appreciation. Slight appreciation in the market. The struggle in the market amid a Jerome Powell speech has been on since yesterday. It gave a negative outlook in yesterday's market, but the market is recovering this morning. For silver, slightly positive also, $20 per ounce. Copper, current price at $4,000 per pound. I mean $4 not 4,000, $4 per ounce. Steel, 4,285 Chinese yuan per ton. And that's the outlook in the market this morning. Let's also see the state of the energy market amid yesterday's slump. The energy market, the recovery hasn't happened yet. It's still struggling a bit amid Jerome Powell's indications in the market. That speech turned around the market yesterday. For crude oil, it's $77 per barrel, downward by 0.35 points, a negative 0.45 percentage points. For Brent crude, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, it's $83 per barrel, downward slightly by 0.1 point, a negative 0.12 percentage decline. For natural gas, is the same story, gasoline the same story, heating oil the same story, and that's the outlook within the energy market. Let's have an outlook of agricultural market then. The price of soybeans, similar story, with the energy market slightly downward this morning. Still the impact of yesterday's speech, $1,522 per bushel for soybeans, downward by 3 points. For wheat, it's $680 per bushel, downward by 3.96 points. For lumber, similar story, downward. Palm oil, slightly downward by 29 points, 4,175 Malaysian ringgit per ton. And that's a story within the agricultural market. It would be a good time to look at commentaries from Dan Daming regarding forex market, the foreign exchange market. After sliding for a second session, the Australian dollar futures hit a 4-month low, and Dan Daming is here to examine this. Let's hear from Dan.
In today's FX markets, let's take a look at the Australian dollar as it's realizing some heavy selling pressure today. The Australian dollar lower for a second session, and today's price action has pushed the futures market to its lowest level in basically 4 months. You have to go back to early November to see the futures market trading at this 0.6605 level, which is just off the intraday lows. And I think when you look at some of the driving factors today, a couple things to point to. Number one, the Reserve Bank of Australia interest rate decision today, raising rates by 0.25% or 25 basis points anticipated. However, they did indicate that they sense that inflation has peaked, and moving forward, they're going to take a bit more of a wait and see attitude when it comes to rates. And with that, the markets experienced a reset here, and particularly when you look at the Australian dollar selling off heavily after that announcement with the shifting dynamic in monetary policy, or at least that's the perception.
Thank you, Dan Damon, the outlook of the Australian dollar in the market. But let's go straight to the forex market to see the perspective of other pairs, the euro against the US dollar and the pound against the US dollar this morning. The morning market has shown some positivity for some, but the slump continues for the euro against the US dollar. Its current price is 1.05 US dollar, equaling 1 euro, and the struggle continues, not being able to go back to the 1.07 mark. For the pound against the US dollar, it fell yesterday downward to 1.16, but trying to recover this morning slightly to 1.18 US dollar, equaling £1. But for the Aussie, the outlook is slightly positive this morning. Let's look at Naira in the market, the US dollar against the Naira, as well as other measures. The US dollar against the Naira, current price 459.96 Naira, equaling 1 US dollar. There's not been any change in the market for the past 1 month so far. The struggle continues for either ways, but for the euro against the Naira, the euro is facing a downward spiral, slight downward movement, 0.99 points in favor of the Naira. For the pounds against the Naira, it's the same story, slightly negative in favor of the Naira. Let's go to the parallel market to see Naira's perspective in the parallel market. We'll look at the buying rates and the selling rates. Dollar to Naira at the parallel market is 753 Naira to $1 at the buying rate, and selling rate 747 Naira to $1. For the pounds to Naira, the outlook is different, but 930 Naira to £1 at the buying rate, and 910 Naira to £1 at the selling rate. For the euro to the Naira, it's 795 Naira at the buying rate to €1, and 775 at the selling rate to €1. That's the outlook. Let's look at the cryptocurrency market and the energy within the cryptocurrency market. And afterwards, we'll get to look at the Nigerian stock market straight up. Looking at the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin, it's downward this morning. The struggle continues for Bitcoin after falling yesterday equally due to Jerome Powell's speech, which affected the global markets. $21,981 per Bitcoin. Negative 0.33% decline. For Ether is 1,552.01. Market is moving quite fast. Slight movement upward for Ether this morning, but there's huge struggle for the crypto market. We'll be moving to the stock market, going to the Nigerian market to see what the outlook within the Nigerian context is. But considering the fact that global stocks have been affected by Jerome Powell's speeches, the concern would be how it affects Africa's market. But let's look at Nigeria's capital market. The equity capitalization in the Nigerian stock market crashed to 30.28 trillion naira at the close of trading on Tuesday. This was a 0.02% or 6.96 billion naira lower than the 30.29 trillion naira posted on Monday. Similarly, the all-share index dipped by 12.79 basis points to close at 55,592.78 points. Investors traded 131.05 million shares valued at 1.95 billion naira in 3,763 deals. A quick look at the top gainer. Caverton led the gainers list with a 10 kobo rise in share price, moving from 1 naira 4 kobo to 1 naira 14 kobo per share. A quick look at the bottom loser. MRS topped the losers table after shedding 3 naira 45 kobo to drop from 34 naira 50 kobo to 31 naira 5 kobo per share. The top volume. Transcorp led the day's trading with 114.42 million shares valued at 18.46 million naira. That is the outlook of Business 360 this morning. My name is Bladon Kim. Thank you for watching.